Good afternoon. I am Captain Morgan Tucker, your narrator for today's ceremony. Today we will welcome you to a special ceremony marking the retirement of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Larson after 27 years of military service in both the United States Navy and the United States Air Force. The keynote speaker for today's ceremony is Chief Master Sergeant Anthony Johnson, the 79th Rescue Squadron Senior Enlisted Leader, accompanied by his wife Audrey. The presiding official for today's ceremony is Colonel Sean Surface, United States Air Force, retired, the former 3rd Wing Vice Commander, accompanied by his wife Dana. At this time, we would like to take a moment to recognize our distinguished guests in attendance today. Please hold all applause until the distinguished guests have been read. Lieutenant Colonel Larson's wife, Jessica, daughter, Mackenzie, son, Michael Jr., and his son-in-law, Andrew. Lieutenant Colonel Larson's father and mother, Kevin and Deb Larson, and brothers, Jeffrey and Tyler Larson. 3rd Wing Vice Commander, Colonel Jessica Regney. Colonel James Sparrow, United States Air Force, retired, and his wife, Sarah. 3rd Maintenance Operations Squadron Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Cavazos. Lastly, a special welcome to all senior officers and civilians, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, members of Team J Bear, and close friends for being here to share in this special occasion with Lieutenant Colonel Larson and his family. At this time, I ask that you please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the posting of colors, playing of the national anthem, and the invocation. Chaplain White will now deliver the invocation.
I invite you to join me in prayer. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to come here and pray over Lieutenant Colonel Larson and his retirement. Father, we pause our day today to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Michael Dirty Larson and his outstanding 27 years of devoted service to the United States Air Force, the United States Navy, and his service to this great nation. Lord, 27 years is not a small feat. It's not a flash in the pan or a fly-by-night, but 27 years is a full commitment and dedication. Lord, I am certain during those years of service that the road has not always been easy. I am sure there were times that he wanted to quit, to throw in the towel, and he probably questioned his why and his purpose. But as we stand here today and recognize the great culmination of many successes, eventually leading to his overall success and his ability to finish the course, I want to give you honor, Lord, and say thank you for Lieutenant Colonel Larson's service. Thank you for his leadership. Thank you for his perseverance. And thank you for his fortitude to push through all the obstacles, to overcome all the challenges, and to make it here to this place today. And Father, we all recognize that this incredible journey does not happen alone. We recognize that all too often it is the family that pays the price of service to this nation, that the family experiences the hardships of the sacrifice often more than the one wearing the uniform. So, Lord, I pray that you bless the Larson family beyond measure. Bless Jessica. Bless Jordan, Mackenzie, and Michael Jr. As a new chapter is now beginning, I pray that you open doors of opportunity and that your favor will surround all of the Larson family, that everything they put their hands to will be blessed, and that you will give them supernatural protection and guidance. And if there's any uncertainty, that you will bring clarity and confirmation for the decisions that they will make. Guide them, direct them, and establish them. Allow this next chapter to be the best chapter of their lives, with the best memories yet to be made. Thank you, Lord. Bless those here today. Bless those that could not be here today. Bless all those that are deployed, their families, and bless all those that stand for freedom. I ask these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you, Honor Guard and Chaplain White. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Chief Master Sergeant Anthony Johnson.
All right. So as the introduction brought up, I'm Chief Tony Johnson. I'm actually up here from Tucson, Arizona right now. Currently serving as the senior enlisted leader for the 79th Rescue Generation Squadron. And I have to tell you, I couldn't feel more honored or privileged than I do at this moment right now standing on this stage. I'll tell you, it's pretty strange for the member that's not retiring to get a little choked up during a ceremony, but I'll tell you, this one's gonna be a tough one for me. Not only because this is likely the last time I'll ever don this uniform, but because I'm doing it on behalf of someone I really admire and respect and truly love. So getting that kind of soft stuff out of the way, I figure I'll break the ice a little bit here with allow me to talk some smack to Lieutenant Colonel, because can't take these stripes now, right? But so it's circa 1997, not even the same century we're in right now, right? Just to put it into perspective, you have President Bill Clinton is about to start his second term, accompanied by an intern that became pretty hot news that year. On top of that, there's a few folks out here with a little more salt and pepper in their hair. So you probably remember the Hale-Bopp comet. That was a comet that was visible in the night sky for 18 months straight. So pretty crazy. On top of that, gasoline cost $1.23 a gallon on average. You had a loaf of bread, $1.15 on average. And then after that, everyone's favorite topic right now, a dozen eggs was $1.10. So that was the year that Colonel Larson decided to join the military. Now, a couple things I'm wondering if you know these, Colonel, is the top grossing film or the top song that year. Do you know either of those? Boom, you got the movie, knew that. How about song? No? Elton John, Candle in the Wind, right? So I hope you'll humor me for a second, because I think after I got to look at your records and everything, I know why you joined the service, right? So I picture you in Nebraska laying on your stomach in the living room floor with your hands in your head like this, watching Titanic, and there's Leo DiCaprio is slowly floating away into the abyss in the Atlantic, right? And in the background, Elton John's blaring, right? And then your brothers walk by and be like, man, you belong in the Navy. Did I get it? See, I knew it. So all that aside, y'all, 29 October 1997 is when Lieutenant Colonel Larson joined the United States Navy. And you think about all that time, wow, what an achievement and what a dedication to our country. He started the first year of his career, approximately a year, at the Recruit Training Center in Great Lakes, Illinois. The beginning being basic training, and then after that, went to Tech Corps and Fire Controlman A School training. And wouldn't you guess, graduated as a distinguished graduate. After that, for the Navy, you go to Sea School training. So he ended up going to NATO's Sea Sparrow Mission System Sea School training in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and wouldn't you know it again, distinguished graduate, right? So you began your career the same way you followed through the entire time. Something that was interesting to me, is that the Navy, it's a little different, right? His ship was at sea when he finished tech school. Us Air Force folks, you're not going right to the deployment right after you leave tech school. It almost never happens, right? But Colonel Larson gets out of tech school after being a DG, and he has to be flown to his ship, the USS Peterson, in May of 1999, and served as a part of NATO's Operation Allied Force in the Kosovo campaign. His team launched multiple Tomahawk cruise missiles against the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia to halt the violence against the Kosovo Albanian population. During that tour, they docked in Spain, France, Italy, Greece, and Turkey. Pretty rough deployment, huh? That's pretty cool spots, right? So after that, in April, so he goes on this deployment, is out for that long until April, when his team participated in Exercise Baltops 2000, which is a NATO operation in the Baltic Sea that included 8 additional NATO countries where they trained for maritime interdiction operations. During that tour, he got to stop in England, Ireland, Sweden, Germany, and then the Virgin Islands on the way home. Rough gig. Warfighter. No, but awesome. So he gets back to the States on the Peterson, and in May of 2001, when you sit and think about that time in our nation's history, that's just a few months before one of the most pivotal moments in our country's history, right? September 11th. Just a few months before it. And he was promoted to Petty Officer Second Class and awarded the USS Peterson's Junior Sailor of the Quarter. During this time, he refined his leadership acumen as work center supervisors, leading 6 technicians in the identification and correction of complex system discrepancies to ensure successful operation of the ship's NATO Sea Sparrow missile defense system. So shortly after he does this, September 11 hits, and Colonel Larson and his team were deployed 1 week after September 11 to support operations in the Middle East. They were deployed to the Persian Gulf, where as a trainer and a leader of the Visit Board Search and Seizure Team, Colonel Larson instructed 20 sailors in CBQ and rappelling techniques, boarding over 100 shipping vessels working in conjunction with SEAL Team 3 to enforce UN sanctions against Iraq and to look for fleeing Al-Qaeda members. During that tour, they visited ports in Egypt, Madagascar, Bahrain, and Seychelles. Was that Chalet? Okay. But good thing about the Navy is that you get to port in some pretty good spots regardless of what's going on, right? But the thing that happens after that is Colonel Larson got to be a part of the decommissioning of the USS Peterson, which is pretty awesome. So you got to ride that ship till the wheels came off, right? So after that, Colonel Larson actually cross-trained into what we look at as security forces in the Air Force And from October to December 2002, he attended Navy law enforcement specialist training in Little Creek Naval Base, Virginia. During this time, he was a law enforcement specialist, and he mastered leadership roles as a patrolman, training coordinator, and ultimately was entrusted with leading a watch section of over 150 personnel as a shift supervisor. In addition, he was also a drill evaluator for the Force Protections training team, coordinating over 50 drills and evaluating personnel and responses of all patrol sections. While attacking both roles, then Petty Officer Larson worked to earn a bachelor's degree in business administration and was accepted to the Air Force's OTS Officer Training School, which began in August of 2006. So a couple of things stood out to me, sir, when I was going through your records. One of the most things that stood out the most was his last enlisted performance evaluation. He was rated my number one of 56 outstanding second-class petty officers. Possesses an unsurpassed ability to motivate others. And I will tell you, that was 20 years ago. So Colonel Larson, before he even became an officer in the U.S. Air Force, was rated as a phenomenal leader, number one of 56. And I feel like that continued the entirety of the rest of your career. And I will tell you that you can tell a lot by who attends a retirement ceremony, right? So we have people, Audrey and I came from Tucson. We have Dave Robinson coming all the way in from Georgia. All the people in this room from all over the country, including your family, your friends. And they didn't do that out of any sense of obligation. They did it because of the person you are, and I hope you understand that. You're so humble, sir. You really are. And I will tell you personally, for me, I met Colonel Larson, then Major, in 2000, and 2020, excuse me, and I had just returned from a deployment, was a senior master sergeant, thought I did everything I needed to do. I really wanted to make chief, right? And I get back, and my squadron rated me 3 of 3 out of the 3 seniors eligible, which is ultimately a death sentence. There was no way I was going to promote, right? So I'm pretty sure my squadron sent me to work for Dirty because that's where you put people out to pasture sometimes, trying to get me out of there. But the only feedback I got was I was too nice and I didn't put myself in for enough wards. So when I heard that, I was devastated, and my career was done. I was like, if that's what the kind of chief master sergeants they want, then I don't want to be one. Well, I showed up and worked for Dirty and found a team of people, most phenomenal team I've ever worked on. And they're all here, strangely enough, right? And they came from all over the country because he cultivated a team that wasn't just a team, it was a family. And he gave me back faith that, people can get promoted for the right reason in the military too, So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for that. The impact that you and Jess have had on Audrey and I couldn't overstate it. Like, you changed my life, and I could never thank you enough for that. So I want to say congrats on your retirement, and I just want to ask one more favor before I'm done, and that's that I can render my last salute in this uniform to you.
And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presiding official, Colonel Sean Surface, United States Air Force, retired.
Thanks, Morgan. Tony, those were amazing words. I'm not sure how I'm going to follow that up. Well, hey, welcome everybody. As stated, my name's Colonel Sean Surface, retired. I'm now a 777 pilot for FedEx, so it's the first time I got a chance to put this thing on in 3 years, and I couldn't have done it for a better person. So, Dirty, first and foremost, thank you so much for letting me be just a very small part of your very special day today. So I really appreciate it. Hey, before I begin my comments, I do want to take a moment to recognize some of the people here today. I know Morgan went through it, but I do want to extend a heartfelt thank you for me as well, because I know a lot of you, busy schedules, come from across the world or the United States to be here, and that's no small feat. So Colonel Regney, Colonel Heath, good to see you again. Colonel Sparrow and Sarah, Lieutenant Cavazos, all other distinguished guests, Chaplain, and everybody took time out to be here today. Thank you so much for being here today. Jessica, Mackenzie, Michael Jr., and Andrew. Obviously, I know you wouldn't miss a big thanks to you for being here to support your husband and father on such an important milestone. As alluded to, he didn't get here by himself, and it's just great that you're here to be able to be a part of that as well. Mr. and Ms. Larson, Kevin and Deb, Jeffrey and Tyler, thank you as well. He is not the man and the officer he is today without you and the way you raised him. So thank you for being here and for just giving us such an incredible young man these last 27 years. Unbelievable. All right, so with that, let's begin. So Joe Galloway, Vietnam-era battlefield reporter and co-author of the book We Were Soldiers Once and Young, had a great saying about those who serve. He noted, "They say the World War II guys were the best generation. Well, those who fought every war since then were the best of their generations. They went, they served, they sacrificed, and they fought like tigers. They were noble." I think that aptly describes Colonel Larson and his career in the Air Force, the best of his generation, a warrior, and one heck of an officer and leader. Now, in the course of an Air Force career, there are many days that take on special significance. The day we enlist, the day we commission, the day we earn our first AFSC. But few stay with you like the last one, the day of retirement. So much like Chief kind of took a look at what happened in 1997 when you enlisted, I took a look back and I said, well, what happened in the world of just military history? On what dates do you share your retirement with? I got to point to this, so hang with me. You'll find that Dirty's retirement date shares some commonality with some very key events. 1 May 1863, the Battle of Chancellorsville in Virginia, where a force of 115,000 Union soldiers faced off against 60,000 Confederate soldiers, where some 30,000 men were killed and wounded or missing. And while the battle represented a Union setback, they would go on to win the war. Let's go forward another 30 years. 1898, Manila Bay in the Philippines, the U.S. Asiatic Squadron destroyed the Spanish Pacific Fleet in the first battle of the Spanish-American War. Another conflict we would win. 50 years later, Hamburg Radio would announce that Adolf Hitler was dead, fallen in the Reichschancellery in Berlin, essentially bringing an end to that horrific war. Again, another one that the U.S. would win. Here's something else close to your time in Korea we'll talk about here shortly. 1951, during the Korean War, U.S. forces halted the first phase of the Chinese offensive just north of Seoul, ultimately stabilizing battle lines that essentially hold today. As a result of the armistice 2 years later, ensuring Korea would not fall to the communists. And more recently, on this day in 2011, President Obama announced that Osama bin Laden, the suspected mastermind behind the September 11th attacks, was killed by U.S. Special Forces in Abbottabad. So why do I share this with all of you? Because in all cases, these wars were fought and won by warriors, dedicated service members who sacrificed much over their careers, the best of their generations. People just like my friend, Dirty Larson. Looking at his career, it's easy to see the warrior, the giant of an officer, who has enabled similar successes across the Air Force during his distinguished career. While Chief eloquently presented his time as an enlisted member and highlighted the character of how he was as an enlisted man, his service as an officer are no less impressive. Michael began his time as an officer at Tinker Air Force Base from October 2007 to June of 2013, where he would steadily rise through the ranks from lieutenant to captain, from aligned air battle manager and air weapons officer to assistant flight commander and eventually flight commander of the 960th Airborne Air Control Squadron's largest fight. An accomplished air surveillance officer, we would see Michael the Warrior, as he earned 3 air medals for combat operations in Afghanistan, flying 51 combat missions supporting coalition forces in 112 engagements. Troops in contact, TICs as we call them. The result of his efforts, 425 enemy killed in action, countless U.S. lives saved, the destruction of Taliban forces, and the destruction of the vestiges of al-Qaeda. A fitting note, given the shared date of his retirement with bin Laden's death. When not in combat, he would fly in support of the G8 and G20 summits, the Summit of America, conferences helping keep conferences, and in doing so, he would help keep world leaders from across the globe safe. His excellence did not go unnoticed. He earned accolades as an outstanding performer during a weapons school integration phase support deployment, as well as being ranked the number 1 of 54 CGOs, the number 1 of 10 assistant flight commanders, and earned the squadron's ABM of the Year for 2012. The warrior was clearly a leader, something we saw early on in your career. So the Air Force decided to put you in another hot spot of the world, this time Korea. From June 2013 to June of 2015, Colonel Larson would serve in the 607th Air Support Operations Group as an air liaison officer with duties as a group executive officer and assistant director of operations. There, his leadership and knowledge of tactics and close air support would put him in a position to lead a variety of joint and multinational efforts. Over 2 years, he would bolster the expertise and lethality of coalition forces to destroy an ever-present North Korean threat should that conflict ever arise. During the first year, he was an Air Support Operations Center subject matter expert, a lead procedural controller, as well as a combined rear area commander air liaison officer for a variety of exercises, such as Key Resolve in 2014 and Warpath 3. So impressed were the general officers that he worked for that they awarded him an Army Commendation Medal, as well as the group and the headquarters 7th Air Force Company Grade Officer of the Quarter. The next year would see more of the same hard work, leading teams that certified Republic of Korea Joint Tactical Air Controllers and air liaison officers for exercises such as Ulchi-Focus Guardian. Now, if you know anything about Ulchi-Focus Guardian, that is the premier exercise that goes on over there. That is no small feat. Again, this warrior excelled in the second year. Superior leadership and performance once again earned him another Army Commendation Medal, your second one. Multiple coins from general officers, a group Lance P. Saigon Award, as well as a 7th Air Force CGO of the Year. And, to close it all out, evaluation is the group's number 2 of 2003s, putting him in the top 10% of his peers. Again, you're going to see that trend continue here over the next decade. Speaking of which, as we all know, all that hard work begets more hard work. So in the summer of 2015, Dirty was assigned to J-Bear, first in the 3rd Ops Group initially, where he would work in the Commander's Action Group, and then the remainder of his time, again, nearly a decade up here in the wing, which is amazing. As an executive, as an executive officer, deputy IG, then the IG, and then, of course, rounding it out as the commander of the Alaska NORAD Region Detachment. Here you'd promote to major, then lieutenant colonel, all the while also maintaining qualifications as an air surveillance officer evaluator. No small task, given all that you had on your plate. Now, it was in this function as the IG that I first met this amazing officer, and I could tell early on that he was no mere wing staff officer. As I got to talk to Dirty and got to know him, a lot of commonalities in the places we served, the battles we fought, and the places we were at. And to be frank, I could tell right away that this was a warrior. And I think that's perhaps why I think our friendship resonated so quickly. I knew instantly the kind of officer and the kind of man that you were. And I'll tell you what, you didn't disappoint during our time together here. It's difficult because of the classified nature of what you've been involved with during your time here to adequately summarize and capture everything that you've done for the Air Force and in particular 3rd Wing during your time here. It is no understatement to say that you drove the wing to master a very cumbersome evaluation system and accurately enabled leadership to demonstrate 3rd Wing's readiness and ability to fight across a broad spectrum of conflict. He led the planning for multiple Polar Force exercises, set many firsts for not only 3rd Wing, but for Pacific Air Forces as well as the Air Force. His IG team were the first to satisfy the 4-star Pacific Air Force Commander's Agile Combat Employment Commander's Interest item in 2018. His team also set multiple PACAF level benchmarks via the improved unit effectiveness inspection methodology and processes, which resulted most recently here, about 2 years ago I believe it was, in 3rd Wing receiving an effective grade for the most recent evaluation cycle. He was the mastermind behind the first ever PACAF mission assurance exercise that saw the largest ever live F-22 War Reserve material fly-off in history. I vividly remember that one. That was impressive. Also, you served as part of the Polar Force 2021, which enabled the largest Agile Combat Employment Hub and Spoke concept exercise in Air Force history. All this work resulted, again, in the first readiness evaluation called Agile Reaper 23-1, which demonstrated to our adversaries across Asia the Air Force's ability to move, engage, and defend across a vast and desperate battle space, improving the lethality and survivability of our combat forces. That made the news, actually, in several different locations. I remember that as well. I was retired at that point, but that was a big deal. Also incredible is that during this time, you earned multiple accolades. First, Wing Staff Field Grade Officer of the Year several times, consistently identified in the top 10% of his peers by your 06 level commanders. Number 5 of 55, number 5 of 45, number 4 of 40, number 4 of 60. And let me tell you, that is absolutely no small feat in this wing of superstars. Those of you that serve here know the caliber of people that exist in this wing. So that is impressive, absolutely impressive. Even as Dirty approached the end of his career, he was not done setting firsts. In his most recent capacity as the Alaska NORAD Region Detachment Commander, he enabled the planning, coordination, and launch of coalition alert fighters and command and control aircraft to intercept and deter the People's Republic of China and Russia combined bomber patrol along the Alaska Defense Identification Zone. Again, another event that made news across the world. Impressive. I find it poetic that you finished your career doing something leading as a warrior and a leader to the very end, setting first, making the news. But that's Colonel Larson. A few years ago, I had the pleasure to be a part of Dirty's promotion to 05. And I said at that time, my impression of him reminded me of a quote from Heraclitus, who said of combat, and battle in particular, out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there. 80 are just targets. 9 are the real fighters. And we are lucky to have them, for they make the battle. But the one is a warrior, and he will bring the others back. My opinion on this hasn't changed one bit. From saving American lives on the battlefields of Afghanistan early in your career as an officer, to preparing others in Korea to come home should that conflict ever raise its ugly head again, to more recently safeguarding the homeland here in Alaska from the Russian and Chinese menace. You truly are the one, and you ensured that the others came home. Congratulations on an impressive 27-year career, Dirty. 6,384 days as an officer, 2,011 flight hours, of which almost half, 792, were in combat. Multiple deployments and TDYs, 3 air medals, 2 Army Commendation Medals, 2 Air Force Commendation Medals, 2 MSMs. In just a moment, you're going to be the giant on the shoulders of all the subsequent generations that they're going to stand on from here on out. You ready? No? Well, let's do it.
Please stand for the medal presentation. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by executive order, has awarded the Meritorious Service Medal, 1st Oak Leaf Cluster, to Lieutenant Colonel Michael D. Larson for meritorious service 21 August 2019 to 30 April 2025. Lieutenant Colonel Michael D. Larson distinguished himself in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Commander, Alaska North American Aerospace Defense Region Detachment, 3rd Operations Group, 3rd Wing, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson. During this period, Colonel Larson engineered a comprehensive evaluation plan for Agile Reaper 24-1, Pacific Air Force's largest ever wing-led exercise, garnering the 3rd Wing readiness validation from the Inspector General. Additionally, his leadership enabled the success of Operation Noble Defender, a collaborative effort with the United Kingdom, Denmark, Sweden, Finland, and Canada to demonstrate an international layer defense and command and control structure to strengthen our ability to deter potential threats to the homeland. Finally, as 3rd Wing's Alaska North Aerospace Defense Region expert, Colonel Larson enabled the coordination and launch of coalition fighter and command and control aircraft for the first ever intercept of Chinese H-6 and Russian Tu-95 bombers conducting combined bomber patrol operations in the Alaskan Air Defense Identification Zone. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Larson culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Signed, Jeffrey J. Rivers, Colonel, United States Air Force, Commander. Please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order.
Publish the orders.
Attention to orders. The Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Orders Number AC 000669, effective 30 April 2025, you are relieved from active duty. 3rd Wing, Joint Base, Elmendorf-Richardson, Alaska. You are retired effective 1 May 2025 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the grade of Lieutenant Colonel by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Colonel Surface will now present the retirement certificate to Lieutenant Colonel Larson. Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. This is to certify that Lieutenant Colonel Michael D. Larson, having served faithfully and honorably for 27 years, was retired from the United States Air Force on the first day of May 2025, signed by the 3rd Wing Commander and the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. We will now present the Certificate of Appreciation from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. At this time, we will now have a special flag folding ceremony. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been the symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 15 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardiness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence. And blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally, a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe and on the fin flash of all our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on land, skies, and around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedom that we, as Americans, enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel for our country. We cherish its legacy, and as a beacon of hope to one and all, long may it wave. Thank you, Honor Guard. At this time, Lieutenant Colonel Larson's wife, Jessica, daughter Mackenzie, and son Michael Jr. will come forward to place the retirement pin on his lapel. We would now like to present Mrs. Larson with their certificates of appreciation. Thank you, Mrs. Larson. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Michael Larson, United States Air Force, retired.
felt like I need to start off with addressing the elephant in the room. And I think we all know that I'm not as cool as these two people made me sound. So thank you both for being here and saying the words that you did. I'm so appreciative. I've attended enough of these over the last 27 years to know this is the part where I share some profound wisdom for everyone. I'm sorry I don't have that. I didn't do anything profound. So all I tried to do was do my best and take care of the people in my charge and hopefully make my family proud in the process. And I hope that I succeeded in those things more than I failed. So I'd rather just take my time today to thank a few people that have impacted me that are here today. First, starting with the people on this stage. Colonel Surface, thank you so much for obviously the words that you said, but just for the type of officer and leader and friend that you've been in the time that I've known you. You're top notch. Thank you so much. Chief Johnson. I kind of want to change up everything that I had to say about you. You are the most empathetic and effective leader I've ever served with. Easily. And I thank you for making the trip and being here with me. I can't thank you enough. Side note, just kind of like Chief alluded to, he's about ready to retire himself with 23 years of service. He actually called me I think about a month ago or so, and asked me to do his retirement ceremony, which of course I was honored to do so, but due to logistics and things like that, he decided to call it quits on his retirement. And that doesn't sit right with me, so I'd like to make my last direct order to put you front and center, Chief, while you're in blues, and read off your retirement orders. So please, front and center. If everybody could stand up. Attention to orders. Attention to orders. Department of Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Orders Number Alpha Charlie 017804, effective 30 July 2025. You are relieved from active duty. 355th Wing, Davis-Monthan, Arizona. You are retired effective 1 August 2025 per Air Force Instruction 36-3203 in the grade of Chief Master Sergeant by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Audrey, can you come up and make this official? You guys, okay? Chief Master Sergeant Tony Johnson, retired. All right, now I feel a little better. Next, I'd like to thank Hale and Bryant and the photographers, Chaplain White. Thank you so much for making this happen, especially getting into blues. I'm sorry. But thank you. We went above and beyond. I can't thank you guys enough, so thank you. To my parents, thank you for the foundation that you set for me, for all the sacrifices that parents make to make sure that their kids succeed. I thank you, and I love you. To my brothers, thank you for making the trip here and supporting me over the last 27 years. I can't thank you enough. Jeff, I need to give you a special thank you for making the effort that you have, especially over the last 15 or so years, on making sure you come and visit us. Like, I can't tell you how much it meant to me and Jess that you came and visited us in Korea. Like, that was a very tough time for us, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you. Colonel Sparrow, thank you so much for your advocacy and the confidence that you had in me. I know that ultimately it was General Nehemiah that hired me as the wing exec, but I know that you're in his ear. And me being able to be here for 10 straight years, your advocacy started that. It is. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Pat Warfel, you are the best human being I know, bar none. It does not matter what I'm going through, physically, mentally, medically. If I'm going through it, I either have a phone call or a text. Some way, you're there. Thank you so much. Dr. Dunleavy, I knew you when you were just Jenny from the block. You have been my best teammate and the longest teammate that I've had. I got to work with you for 7 years, and in the military, none of us get to do that. It's usually a year or two, and we move on. But thank you and all my teammates here from the IG, like what you did and our team for everybody. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. John and Julie Nystrom, I lovingly call my Alaska parents. Thank you so much for not only being just amazing people, but you're making both me and Jess's retirement dreams come true and what we want to do with the rest of our years. And it started out with just a small dream with me and Jess, or Jess and I, excuse me, let's have correct English, as my grandma would say. But it started out just as kind of a small homestead dreams, and it's turning into kind of a family ranch with the kids and the family. So I can't thank you enough as well. I'm going to need to drink some water before I start the next ones. To my kids, I started out as a kid raising kids, and I kind of still feel that way, but now that you're adults, I just can't thank you enough for not only putting up with military life, but you guys thrived in it. And it was your resiliency and just independence that made it easier on me, because it was hard on me, and you made it easier. So thank you, and I love you so much. To my wife, a little context. Jess hates being in front of people, if you know. Absolutely loathes it. So when I told her that she needed to come up because she was going to get certificates, she told me to cut that out. So as a good husband would do, I ignored her. But do you remember what you said to me when I told you first when that was going to happen? You said, I don't need that because I didn't do anything. I took that as kind of a humble way, and I don't think I answered you the right way, because I just kind of blew it off and said, hey, that's ridiculous, as it is, because it is ridiculous. But I want to redo with how I answered that. You met me, and I was not in a good place. I know that it's stupid, but I was at 14 years, and I was honestly thinking about hanging it up, because I was just so tired of military life and deployments and the stress and all that comes with it. But you came into my life, and I saw everything differently. And I approached everything differently. And it made me a better officer, and a better father, and a better man. So you were kind of right when you said you didn't do anything, because you didn't do anything, you did everything. So thank you, and I love you. Is somebody cutting onions? Oh, I'm sorry. And lastly, just thank you for everybody being here. I know, like, taking time out of your day to be here. I can't thank everybody enough. I know this is just one chapter, but it will always be my proudest chapter. So thank you for being here to help me close it out. Thank you.
The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with Lieutenant Colonel Larson and wish him and his family the best in future endeavors. This concludes today's ceremony. Please feel free to come up and congratulate the Air Force's newest retiree, and then join us for reception directly down the hall in the Billy Mitchell room. Thank you for attending, and we wish you a pleasant day.